Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zheng. On October the 2nd, the U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services issued a policy alert that said, unless otherwise exempt, any immigrant who is or has been a member or affiliated with the Communist Party or any other totalitarian party, domestic or foreign, is inadmissible to the United States. This news immediately sparked huge responses among Chinese people both inside and outside China. The number of people who requested a quit CCP certificate from the Global Service Center for quitting the Chinese Communist Party jumped up dozens of times. Today, we have the pleasure to invite the president of the Quit CCP Center based in New York, Mrs. Yi Rong, to talk to us over the phone about this Quit the CCP movement and how this movement is changing China and Chinese people, as well as how the world can help with this movement. Hi, Yi Rong. Could you please give us a short introduction of your center and the Quit CCP movement?
Okay. Our center is called Global Service Center for Quitting the Chinese Communist Party. It's also called the Tuidang Center. So it was established in 2005. Our mission is to facilitate the Chinese people to quit from the Chinese Communist Party and its affiliated organizations such as Chinese Communist Young Pioneer, Chinese Communist Youth League, etc. And we help the Chinese people to withdraw from the Chinese Communist Party and its affiliated organizations for the past 16 years. And now the number of the people who has quit the CCP has reached 365 million.
Wow, that's an incredible number. We all know that the Chinese Communist Party has very tight control over the internet and information. How did you manage to reach so many people inside China? Are there any interesting stories that you can share?
There are the large number of the volunteers are inside China, and there is a very tight control of the Communist Party, and a lot of our volunteers are persecuted and have been put into prison and or the brainwashing centers in China. If the regime has a loser control of the firewall, and the number were of the Chinese people who quit the CCP were increased in large numbers. And we have most of the volunteers have experienced a certain persecution inside China.
So do you know any particular stories or any particular person who has been put in jail, or how many years they've been sentenced for doing this?
Yeah, we know some of them. There are a lot of publications in the Minghui.org, and we also met some of the volunteers. They escaped from China to New York, to the United States and other countries. They also have the experience of being persecuted because they spread the truth materials and such as like non-commentary on Chinese Communist Party, and also because they help ask the Chinese people to withdraw from the Chinese Communist Party. That's they got sentenced, or they put into forced labor camps or in brainwash centers. We have many cases even in New York.
Could you give us a rough estimation of how many volunteers you have inside China?
Inside China, I think most of the Falun Gong practitioners are doing the same thing. They spread the truth about the persecution of Falun Gong, and also spread the news about quitting the Chinese Communist Party. Almost everybody have been doing the same thing. Millions of people, volunteers inside China, are doing that, and also we have a lot in overseas.
So do you have any idea about how many there are in overseas countries?
We have like over 100 places outside China. We have truth booths in all the large cities, including Hong Kong, Taiwan, Australia, Europe, European countries, United States, Canada, Japan, almost many countries, and we have over 100, places and truth booths. People are, volunteers are doing the same thing for the past 15 years.
So how do you look at the recent policy change about not allowing the CCP members to migrate to the U.S.?
The Tweedong Center welcomed this, the U.S. policy, which is very positive, to promote the Tweedong movement. We welcome that. I think it has a great impact on the Chinese, especially Chinese, already in the United States.
From what you can see, how has this policy changed the Chinese people's attitudes and their behavior, and what do they think now?
My observation is that from the telephone calls, from the email contacts, and we can see that a lot of Chinese, they are asking the Tweedong Center about how can identify, they are not a party member, how they can, withdraw, and how they can get a certificate from the Tweedong office. And also from the other side, we can see, there are a lot of, pro-CCP organizations in the United States, especially in Chinatown, Chinese communities. Those people were, very active during so-called Chinese National Day or, some of the events. They are very active, and they want to express to the CCP, that they are pro-CCP. But now we can hardly see those people. They are no longer active. This is a very good sign because they're afraid that the United States may, identify them as communist spies or communist members, so that they will be, deported to the, back to China.
So you are basically saying some of these people who were previously very pro-CCP, they are not show their support anymore, or have they really changed their minds or attitudes or what they think about the CCP?
I think most of the Chinese, I don't think they really love CCP. They would really, want to, give their lives to the CCP regime. However, because of the regime's tight control of people's, like the future, the working, the economic benefit, and the children, the family, so it's because they're very afraid of the persecution, and they also because they want to pursue the economic benefit, so they join the CCP. Right now they can see the great changes in the international environment, and I hope they can feel the collapse of the CCP government is coming soon. I think this is a very good sign to awaken the Chinese people to get rid of the CCP. It's a good opportunity for them to think and to really act to withdraw from the CCP organizations.
You've been doing this for over 15 or 16 years. So during all these years, how has the Quit CCP movement changed the Chinese people's heart and mind as far as you can see?
Yeah, this is a very good question. This is a gradual process of awakening Chinese people. At the very beginning, most of the people are very scared and afraid of the persecution. And as the movement going on spread to to many Chinese, inside China, outside China. I think, which as more and more people withdraw from the CCP organizations, those people become more, brave and more bold and in their actions, and even inside China recently, you can see many, anti-persecution um, events happening in all provinces of China. And recent years, they even shouted like "down with the CCP," something like that, 大的共产党. So it's hard to imagine, several, like 15 years ago, it won't happen. But right now, people dare to, to say like a CCP, go away, like CCP, no more CCP, eliminate the CCP inside China, in Hong Kong, that's very, big change.
Yeah, you mentioned that you started this movement in 2005. That was 15 years ago. I think at that time, most of the people, many people in the world, especially in the West, regarded the CCP as a benign force or as a strategic partner. So how did you start this type of movement at that time? Or what made you realize the CCP's threat and danger so early on?
We should think to the Epoch Times. The Epoch Times has published an editorial series for the non-commentary on communist. This is a very, this book, the publication from a very broad and deep, vision of expose CCP's evil nature and its destructive nature to the society and to the free world. I think this is very helpful. The spread of this non-commentary awakening people. It's a good movement to help the Chinese people get freedom from the CCP control. A China without the communist regime will bring peace and prosperity to the free world.
How difficult is it for your volunteers to convince people that they should withdraw from the party, the Youth League and the Young Pioneers? What kind of things or words or reasons do you use to convince them?
I think it's a long process. We have like people, volunteers, by telephone calling from the overseas to mainland China, and we have, volunteers, talk to people, and they also like writing the words in the Chinese paper currency. And I see, the 退党保平安, you quit the party and you will be, you'll be safe, something like that. Some of the Chinese still, has some moral, still keep some moral standards, still believe that, there is God or Buddha, immortals, and will watch their, their mind actions. So I think various, many means, to help Chinese people, to persuade them to, to believe what we say, and so they finally, they agree to quit.
Is it easier to convince overseas Chinese people than convincing people who are still in China to quit the CCP?
I think it depends on the people we meet. In China, both in China, outside China, some people are easy to, to listen, and they're willing to quit even, after one or two sentences. Oh, okay, I agree to you. You can give me a lucky name, something like that. It depends on, some people even overseas, they educated in the United States, and they still, watch like CCTV news or, China Daily, something like that. So they're still being brainwashed, willing to, they are brainwashed. So still, those people, even outside China, still, not very easy to convince them.
So you are saying that there is no difference between overseas Chinese or mainland Chinese, and it really depends on what kind of media they are still watching, whether they are inside or outside of China. Is that what you are trying to say?
Yeah, I think it's important. It depends on the people, not on the, also the brainwashing, what kind of, media they are influenced.
So in this sense, do you think that the US government should impose more restrictions on the CCP in terms of allowing them to spread their official propaganda to the United States?
Yeah, of course. We don't like CCP's propaganda, influence the Western world. I think before the CCP propaganda is very strong, and even the new Xinhua news agency, they have put very big ads in Times Square. Um, so the CCP, the propaganda is very strong, has been very strong influence the Western world. I think I also call for the U.S. government and the Western society, to stop and to not to allow the CCP propaganda media to enter into the United States to influence the Western, the free world.
Okay, so you are basically saying that even if the Chinese people are physically inside the United States, but if the information they are consuming is still from the CCP, they will still be very much pro-CCP, and it's very hard to convince those kinds of people to quit the CCP. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. I do think so.
Many people now are worrying if the CCP is gone, China will be in chaos and ordinary Chinese people will suffer or have a difficult time building a new system. So what's your thought on this?
I think this is a propaganda by the CCP regime. It's try to stop Chinese people to quit, to withdraw from the party. Right now, I think the U.S. government is doing very well because they already separate the Chinese people from the Chinese Communist Party. This is very important.
So how can the public in the West help with bringing positive changes in China, and how can they help your movement and the Chinese people?
I think the United States, the government, they prevent, Chinese, communist member to, enter the United States or to be nationalized. This is a very, positive policy. This will also, promote our, our mission and to help Chinese people to think and to quit from the Chinese Communist Party. I think this policy and more, cases of actual cases be, CCP members being deported or be deported back to China or be will not allow them to nationalize or because they're communist members. Or those cases happening will, help the people to think and to quit from the CCP. This will help, and we call the U.S. government and also other Western, society to meet the Tweedong movement. The Tweedong movement is the largest, grassroots movement in China today. So I think any support will be helpful.
Do you think if the West helps to tear down the CCP's Great Firewall, do you think that will help?
This will be a very big step that will help, many Chinese, to get free, information and to get freedom, free information, and will help them to quit much easier.
So how can the general public help?
Tweedong Center, we, started a petition like End CCP petition, and it's also called Eliminate the Chinese Communist Party. there is a petition, online petition is initiated by our organization. I think I call for general public to sign the petition, to support. Also, this will support the Chinese people to quit the CCP. No more CCP. We don't want any, Chinese Communist Party. This will also help Chinese people, I think, and also will help the Western world.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that's my interview with Yirong. If you know any Chinese people, please do pass this message to them and ask them to quit the CCP, the Youth League, and the Young Pioneers, which they once joined. With the tide of history turning and shifting quickly now, that will be the wisest choice that they can make. And remember, the tide of history won't wait for any individual either. Quit before it's too late. That's all for today. Truth does save lives. Please subscribe to and share my channel and check out my other videos. Thank you. See you soon.